In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the steps in part 1 of the assignment to port your Khan Academy code into an HTML5 document. So in step 1, you should have your Khan Academy animation in front of you, and you have the code here in the left window. And you need to identify the two main parts of this code. Essentially, there's the code that's inside the draw loop, which I'm showing here, and then there's the code that comes before the draw loop. The code that comes before the draw loop, I'm referring to that as the variables and settings portion of the code, and the code inside the draw loop is the draw loop code. So you want to copy and paste those two portions of the code into the HTML document. So let's start with the global variables and settings portion. Just going to select all this down to just above the draw loop function and copy that. And then I'm going to open up in Notepad++, you can open up the shell.htm file, which is in the section 6 folder in your course resources folder. And this has some stuff already done for you, some things that you already know, and it tells you to put the global variables inside the go function. You just put those right here. And I'm just going to quickly make this a little easier to look at by indenting it. Okay, so that is the global variables portion of the code. Let's go back and get the rest. Now don't copy the draw function command itself, but just everything inside it. And you don't need this closing curly brace here. Go back to the shell.htm file and copy and paste that inside the render function. And let me just point out the structure here real quick. This command here, the set interval command, refers to the render function. If you don't want to name your function render, you can change it, but also change it here as well, so that whatever function you use, this essentially becomes your draw loop function. And let's just make sure of a couple of things, even though these are already done for us in this shell.htm file. The render function, the one that is turned into a draw loop by the set interval command, needs to be inside this go function. So just highlight that opening brace and notice that down here the closing brace is here, so the render function is inside the go function. And make sure that the set interval command is also inside the go function and not inside the render function. The reason we put this inside of a function is so that we can call it, so that we can have control over stopping and starting this code. The final step is to create the canvas that the drawing is going to take place on. This has already been set up. Again, this is one of the things that's already been set up. The canvas is identified here in this canvas tag as my canvas, and then you just also need to have these commands that find the canvas and make sure that the name it matches. The get element by ID command needs to specify the same canvas that we've created down here in the canvas tag. And one other thing that we'll do is look for any place in the original Khan code that sets the background color of our canvas, and it actually was inside the background color was inside the draw loop. This background command will not work to color our canvas, so what we'll do is create a command up here the background color in the canvas does not change once you set it, unless you reset it again specifically with another command. And the color here is a dark green color. So just I already have this from the RGB tables website, a hex code that is a dark green color. So you can look up your color on the RGB tables website and get that. And so now the background color, we can just delete that here. And that completes the steps for part 1. We are not far enough along in the process yet to test this on a web browser, but this is a good stopping point to check and make sure that that we're on track. The rest of the steps will be done in the next assignment.